Hello, fourth graders. Today we're going to be working on lesson 2 from our first module. And yesterday's lesson, we were talking about building a unit placement chart and drawing out dots to show what it looks like to be 10 times as much as another value. Now, today we're going to continue using that unit placement chart, and I'm going to show you why that looks like when what it looks like when we're moving 10 times as much from one value to another. And hopefully this will make it easier for you to see how we can multiply a value by 10 and notice which place value it'll be after we multiply them, okay? If that sounds a little confusing, bear with me, and hopefully this lesson will help clear things out. So our target today will be I can recognize a digit is 10 times the value of what it represents in the place to the right. So our important word spots are going to be 10 times, and then it's going to be the place to the right, or its right. And I'll show you what that will look like, okay? But before we can do that, this lesson is going to be talking about a few other things that'll help us with understanding our place values. And when we're looking at numbers, we want to recognize them in a few different forms. Okay, so we got standard form, and in standard form, we are looking at a number as we would normally write it. So for instance, if the number is 678, can you see that? Yep. If it's 678, that's how we would write it in standard form. Now, what about the units? Now, if we're looking at the units, we're looking at each individual digit and what is its value. So here, we said it was 600, and if we notice, it's in the hundreds place. Ones, tens, hundreds. So in unit form, that's going to be 6 hundreds plus our 7 is in our tens place, so 7 tens plus our 8 is in our ones place, 8 ones. Okay, and that's showing our unit form. We're seeing that there are 6 hundreds, 7 tens, and 8 ones. And if we drew it on a placement chart, I'm just going to draw a really quick one up here. Ones, tens, and hundreds. We have 6 hundreds, 7 tens, and 8 ones. Okay? So hopefully you can see how we get to our unit form from our standard form. We're writing our units. Now, expanded form. We are going to expand the unit form into a numerical value. So we have 6 hundreds. Well, if we count 6 hundreds, that's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. So then that would just be written out as 600 plus, then we have 7 tens. Let's count 7 tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Plus 70. And 8 ones is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is 8. Okay, so right now, I want you to try this with me. Make sure you have a sheet of paper and pencil with you, or even your whiteboards if you got it. And you can try this on your own. I'm going to give us a number in its standard form, and I want you to try to write it out in its unit form and in its expanded form. Okay? So your number is going to be 372. So pause the video right now and try to write everything out in its unit form and its expanded form. All right. I'm assuming that you have finished the problem if you pause the video and you play it again once you finished. So our unit form is going to look like this. We have 3 hundreds plus 7 tens plus 2 ones. And an expanded form is 300 plus 70 plus 2. And just for a color reference, I will show you where each of them come from. 3, and that's our 300s. Our 7, 7 tens equals 70. And then our 2, 2 ones plus 2. Okay? So we're going to try out one more problem, and this time we're going to go a little bit past the hundreds. So prepare your paper and pencil, or erase your whiteboard. Make sure you still have standard form, unit form, and expanded form. That way it'll help you recognize where things are going to go. Okay, so we're going to start out with standard form again, and then we're going to continue a practice where we might start out with unit form or expanded form. But today we're starting out with just our standard form. And our standard form, we're going to see it as, let's say, 1,234. What do you think that would look like? Now, if you need help with your spelling, here's thousands, 100, tens, and ones. All right? Pause the video and try to finish out unit form and standard form for this number. And then you can press play when you're ready to continue. All right, we're looking back at our unit form and expanded form for our number 1,234. So let's start. We have 1,000. Remember, our unit is spelled out. Plus 200s. Plus 3 tens. Plus 4 ones. That would look like 1,000 plus 200 plus 30 plus 4. How'd you do? I hope you got it right. If not, please let me know and I'll do my best to help you out. Now, sometimes you might see numbers written in expanded form. All you do is you just add them up together. So then that'll be 1,000 plus 200 plus 30 plus 4, and you get the number in its standard form. Now, if you have it in unit form, 1,000, you just write out the numbers, and then you can add them up to find our standard form. All right? Now, as we look back, we're looking at, can I recognize a digit and how it represents 10 times the value if it's placed to the right? Well, I'm going to show you what that looks like now. Okay, so we have our ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and this one will just be 10,000s if we ever go that far right now. But anyways, we're going to recognize that a digit represents 10 times the value of what it is on the right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have two separate spots here, and I'm going to show you in two different colors how it would look like. So let's start out with writing a number in standard form. So what I want to do is I want to write down the number 3, okay? Our 3 is shown by 3 dots. Now, when we multiply it by 10, so if we want to find what is 10 times as much as 3 ones, normally we would end up drawing our 10 groups, or 10 dots for each group. And then that would just go here. Each group of 10 oops. So let me go to red. So each group of 10 will represent 1 dot for the value to its left, which means that this value is now 30. We started out with 3. Now we end up with 30 because 3 times 10 equals 30. So in our tens value, it is 10 times the value of what we originally started out with, which was 3. So to show that here, times 10, that's going to be 3 tenths. So we start out with 3 ones, times 10 will get us 3 tenths, which is 30. Okay? Let's try another one. So if you're working on a whiteboard, you can erase it. If you're working on a sheet of paper, you can draw another one. So then now, let's try this, okay? Oh, doesn't want to erase. What if we had 2 tenths? And we want to find out 10 times as many as 2 tenths. Well, if we have 2 tenths and we multiply it by 10, we should end up with 2 hundredths. Now, if you notice, the quantity or the amount of each unit does not change, okay? If we start out with 2 tenths here and we multiply it by 10, we end up with 2 hundredths. The only thing that changed is its unit. And how does that look like? Well, if we started out with 2 tenths, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we count out this, because we multiplied these 2 dots by 10, let's count it by tens and see what happens. We got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, which means we would just have 2 hundredths right there. Okay? So now we're just showing that the digit represents 10 times the value of what it is on the right. Our digit was 2. When we have 2 hundredths, that is 10 times the same digit on its right side. So if we start with 2 tenths, 2 tenths times 10 equals 2 hundredths. All right? Well, that's it for the lesson today. If you have any other questions, oops, I didn't realize that it was. So if you have any other questions, showing it again, our 2 tenths times 10 equals 2 hundredths. The digit stays, the units change. And we know that by showing down here, where we start out with our 2 tenths multiplied by 10, and we count them out, 2 hundredths. Okay, that's it for today. I will try to go over it a little bit more in our class and try to help with any misunderstandings, okay? If you have any questions, please make sure you message me on Canvas or give me a phone call in my classroom, and I'll do my best to help you, okay? Well, that's it. Take care.